Gus is uniquely qualified to share his knowledge, skills, and insight. So once again, we take this opportunity to extend a warm and pleasant welcome to Gus Logie. Good evening to you, Gus.
Good evening, and thank you very much to everyone for being here again. Another lovely Sunday evening, especially after just seeing my favorite tennis player won his championship. And it's amazing that this evening we are talking about taking dominion, the authority of champions. So it's so fitting.
Yes.
Okay, so we're ready to go. Okay, so if we're going to say taking dominion, the authority of champions, and exercising boldness to win. The 5 principles for taking dominion are: 1, take charge. Stand in the authority of a champion. In all these things, we are more than conquerors. It says, rule or be ruled, conquered or be conquered. The task is as much a contest as it is a conquest in the process of determining success. Opponents are gathered together seeking to outdo each other for a common prize. Victory is the goal. Stamp your will to win upon the event. Winning or losing will be determined by more than just talent and ability. The champion's imposing will to win is the overriding factor that shines through most, displaying the stronger desire to overcome all opposition. The champion has a swagger of authority that commands the feel of activity with a dominant expectation of success. Quite apart from the dominating effect such composure can have on the opposition, it is the building and promoting of personal self-confidence that is most benefiting. Dominate your space and command your success. So let's take a stand for success. The bold create their own opportunities and success. A champion is tenacious and boldly single-minded about winning. Strength is promoted as a banner to conquer the elements. Champions command and dictate the pace of events. So let's make it personal. I am here to win. I will take charge of my opportunity to win. My intention is nothing less than victory. So we pause after the first principle. And of course, we're open to some suggestions, questions. Right, Professor, how are you?
Professor is muted because he's not responding. Professor SosoBone, you've just been hailed. He's still not hearing us.
Yes,
anyway,
yes.
Let's move on. Let's move on. He's muted.
Okay.
So, all right, we're dealing with principle 1, take charge. And Donna has a question for you, Gus.
Yes,
Donna?
Just a minute. Yes, the question is, the statement says that victory is the goal, but winning or losing will be determined by more than just talent and reliability.
And
Clearly,
yes.
You cannot win without talent and ability. What else may be required?
Well, we see today the mental toughness. We talked about that. We talk about the preparation that's necessary and also execution. Because at the end of the day, we saw 2 champion players today out there. They had ability and they both had the talent. What separated them at the end of the day was possibly one had a greater will to win and the other one executed his game plan to perfection. So at the end of the day, there are other ingredients that are needed in order to be victorious at the end of the day.
Great, thank you.
Okay.
All right, and right behind that, Mertris also has a question on that topic.
Sure.
Okay, and this statement says, my intention is nothing less than victory. It is very obvious that you need more than intention in a competition. In reality, can intention by itself bring you victory?
No, it's a combination of everything we talk about. But without that intention, it makes it a bit difficult. Your will to win is always very important. You must have that will to win. When you go into a competition, you don't go into a competition hoping. You go into a competition believing. You have that belief, that intention is I want to win. If you go in with any less, even with all the preparation that you may have, it makes it a bit difficult.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you. Back to you, Gus.
Okay, great. So we move on. So we go to the second principle, never be intimidated by the odds. So winning against all odds. Think of it. One of you single-handedly putting 1,000 on the run. When the odds appear to be overwhelmingly stacked up against you, see it as an opportunity to excel into the extraordinary. In the face of the challenge, with resolve, you can even the odds in your favor. You will have to break new ground, go where you have never gone, do what you have never done, stand as you have never stood, fight like you have never fought, and do whatever it takes to turn the odds around. Greater strength is developed by greater resistance. It is not all about the opposition. It is how you adapt and fine-tune yourself in the light of that opposition. When faced with an opposing matchup that appears superior, look to your inner resources to overcome the outer forces. There is a quality that is beyond the force of numbers and beyond the force of ability. It is the force of character. Adding character to your own ability will create a most powerful counterforce that will enable you to overcome all odds. So let's turn the odds into evens. Success is not measured by what you accomplish, but by the opposition you have encountered. It is the courage that you have maintained in the struggle against overwhelming odds. If we do what is necessary, all the odds are in our favor. Nothing is impossible. With courage, teamwork, and determination, anything can be overcome. Pressure squeezes the best out of you. Teamwork is the fuel that allows common people to attain uncommon results. If God be for us, who can be against us? So let's make it personal. I'm not afraid of the odds against me. I can deal with the challenge. I will not break down, no matter the test. I can do all things by the strength with which I am strengthened. So here ends the reading of chapter 2, the principle 2.
All right, thank you, Gus. We'll start with Hyacinth has a question for you on that topic.
Oh.
Yeah, good evening, Gus and
Good evening.
My question is, it says, never be intimidated by the odds. What are the inner resources present in players' arsenal that would enable an inferior team to win against the odds in favor of a superior performing team?
Well, first of all, you cannot be intimidated. Let's put it this way. When you come up against a superior opponent, you cannot feel defeated. You have to believe that your preparation, your skill sets, everything that you as an individual possesses, will be good enough. And the mental capacity to never give up, no matter what, is going to take you over the edge. Think about a whole team of individuals thinking and feeling the same way. What can be achieved? Yes, you can see it. The guy might be big, strong, and just think about a wrestling game. It might be a little bit difficult to put into words, but certainly it happens. You walk into the ring and you see the big guy and you forget everything that you would have trained for and everything you would have prepared for. All you're thinking about this big individual in front of me. So that is a defeatist way of looking at things. So again, against the odds, it's going to be important. We're going to be challenged no matter what. I think not only in sports, but in our lives. We are challenged by many, many things. And we just have to believe that we can get over it. We got to summon that inner strength within us. Sometimes people say our belief in a higher power than ourselves sometimes can help us to take us through. So it's something, again, you have to arm yourself with everything possible that you can to be able to get over the edge.
Thank you. So that's self-inner belief, isn't it?
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you, Hyacinth. Professor, you have a question?
Yes, Professor Logie.
My professor, man.
You know, I post you on LinkedIn, you know,
You did?
and yes, it is said that, and I say yes, your old class every Sunday.
Oh man. You're gonna send some people for me, man.
And I will let you know that I have a lot of ICC members on my LinkedIn platform. Okay. Because I do have 21,000 connections on LinkedIn.
Wow. There you go. You see, I told you you're the man of influence.
But you know, again, you know, I like to play the role of the spectator. And because while we think in terms, we normally say the spectator is the extra player. Okay, when the home crowd is the 12th player on the field, you know, and you have a situation where the team is losing consistently. Okay, and the home crowd comes and they don't have the energy.
Yeah.
Because they're looking at a team that has won 9 out of 10, playing against their team that has won 1 out of 10. And you are looking at the players and you don't see the energy. How do you, as a coach, okay, take them into the mindset where, you know, you can say that David is gonna slew Goliath?
I think that's the belief system that you must have, regardless of where you're at. And again, it comes back. We keep talking about the preparation phase. You know, you have to make sure you tick all the boxes. You understand? The players must also buy into that ticking off the boxes. Did we prepare well? Did we plan well? Are we comfortable with our own game? Do we know where we stand? Do we know our roles? All these things have to be done. It may not say you will win, but there is always the best chance of a good performance if these things are taken care of. On the field of play, there will always be situations you may have no control over. It could be a poor umpiring decision that went against you. You know, it could be a pitch that is not prepared as well as you expected. It may not be home conditions. Your crowd support will take the energy from you. Very few crowds, especially in the Caribbean, generate the energy before you start to generate the energy. If you do something spectacular, the crowd may then come on your side, and that's when you have to capitalize. The momentum now shifts, and you have to know how to really and truly ride that wave. You understand? But it comes from within your team. You just cannot be worried too much about the opposition. You know what they give, but you have to make sure your preparation is such that you can execute on the top of a hat. And I think today was a perfect example in the CPL. I don't know how many of you watched the CPL, but I think Sammy's team was flying high. They are defending champions. They went to Barbados recently, just today. And I understand Barbados won. And it's the first game they won for the season.
Yeah.
So they had the mindset that we can do it because we have the resources, we are prepared well, and all it takes sometimes is 1 or 2 individuals to perform a bit better than they would have in the past to really and truly help you to ride that wave. And we saw the support of the crowd. You sure they would have won the championship today after that win, didn't they? The flags, the Barbados flags were flying high. So that's all you need now. The consistency now is just where it's going to be. How do you then ride that wave? How do you then bottle that success today for the next game coming up, possibly in the next 2 days?
Do you think a coach should learn hypnosis?
Well, let me tell you, I don't know that. I wouldn't want to go into that realm, but I know I would like to think the coach's responsibility is to help to motivate, inspire us. But I don't know about hypnosis. I wouldn't want to go into that area. Next thing, I've seen people try to hypnotize and they don't get up. So that would be a realm I wouldn't want to go into. I will leave that for the other professionals.
All right. Thank you, Professor SosoBone. Leon, do you have a question?
Yes, a comment, and good afternoon again,
Okay.
Gus. You have a situation where a fielder is dropping a number of catches. The crowd is on the fielder. And would you change the position he's fielding? Would you?
Well, it could work either way. One, you have to think about the individual's mental capacity to handle that sort of ribbon from the crowd. And most cricketers now, especially professional cricketers, they understand that when they make a mistake, they understand that they will be given a bit of, as you say, a bit of headache from the crowd, So I don't think it's something that they can, run away from, whether you put them, in a different position or not. The point of the matter is that you trust them to be as competent as they can be. I think what you do in situations like those is that you understand where they're at, and possibly after the game, you say you got to do a few more catches. So you do practice to do a bit more catches. Maybe after the game, you would stay on and do a few more catches in the positions that you had dropped those catches, just to get a feel for it. So, and something like that you would be able to do. But really and truly moving them away, it could give a signal that I don't have confidence in you, one, and of course, mentally, it could really shatter individuals, depending on the individual that you're dealing with. So that's why I said as coaches, we need to know our players, we need to trust our players, and we need to have confidence in their ability to deliver. The player also needs to have that confidence as well.
But what would you say to him?
It's very little you can say. I mean, it's unfortunate. I would think that he's a better catcher than what has happened on the day. As I said, it's one of those things that happened. And hey, I am certain tomorrow in the next game, he might take 3 or 4 of those same catches, But because he would have worked on it, possibly after the game, sometimes in the night games, sometimes you lose the ball in the lights, But yes, it's not an excuse. They are professionals, and therefore they should be a little bit more competent than what we've seen. We have seen some simple job catches, and not just today. I saw a few games recently when I think in Guyana a few nights ago, simple catch was dropped, but 9 out of 10 times in practice they will. But you see, the practice sessions is very difficult to simulate what you do on the game, because you don't have that amount of crowds, the cheering, the making noise, so a little bit of excitement in the body then is different from when you're doing the practice sessions. But you're hoping the more they can practice and the more they catch, the better they can execute in the middle.
And then when the hat turns, that the captain himself drops a catch.
Yeah, well, it happens. And therefore, if you were to berate your player, what happens when you drop? Do we expect the player to berate you? That's when support is needed, isn't it? Yeah.
Thank you so much.
We're still on principle 2, never be intimidated. Donna has a question.
Yes. Mr. Logie.
Hi.
In pressure situations, players are literally squashed into the ground and are at a loss. Please explain how in this situation, pressure can squeeze the best out of you.
Yes, there are individuals who thrive on pressure situations, When the odds are against them, that's when they seem to perform better. There are some players who might succumb under pressure. And that's the individual you may have to do a lot more mental work with. You might get a psychologist on board to have a chat with them to focus their energies in the right places and not on the failures. But there are players, and I think even today we saw it again in that tennis where a guy like Alcaraz playing against the number 1 player in the world who won the championship last year. Nobody give him a similar chance to really and truly win after the guy was so dominant. But at the end of the day, he came out victorious simply because of that mental capacity to dig deep, and at the end of the day, to make sure that whatever pressure he was under, he was able to handle.
Okay, thank you. All
right, thank you. Let me invite Ivor if he has a question to unmute. No, Ivor's not responding.
So I'm good.
All right. Coach, how and why is success not measured by your accomplishment?
I beg your pardon?
How and why is success not measured by your accomplishment based on never be intimidated?
Right. Most times what we're saying here, it's an individual situation whereby you're up against a team, let's put it this way, that you can beat. because remember, we're talking about against the odds, you know? So in this particular situation, it is not about you playing a team that is under you or basically on the same level. So that accomplishment is never going to be, you know, seen as something that you accomplish. It's always against the odds. It's always about playing a better team. In competition, you always have your number one team, you know, team number 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you were playing team number 6 and you beat them, you are expected to beat them. So that's not going to be seen as any great accomplishment. But it's when you play against number 1, the best, that is when it's seen as an accomplishment in that particular instance. It is not your overall history, if you want to put it that, but it's certainly against the odds. When you beat a team against the odds, that is seen as an accomplishment. When you beat the number 1 player in the world, that is seen as an accomplishment. It is not when you beat number 10, which you are expected to beat. Or let's put it this way in cricket parlance. If I was to score 100 against Bangladesh, not many people will see that as an accomplishment. But if I was to score 100 against Australia or India, you understand, they will then big that up. It's the same thing like, you know, bowlers take 5 wickets against, you know, Bangladesh, man will say, well, they're only Bangladesh. But if you take that against India, that's when your accomplishment seems to, you know, be noteworthy. So that's in this context. Yeah.
All right, thanks. And back to you now.
Okay, good. So we go to number 3 principle, which is expect to win. So premeditated ambitions of success. Be brave, be strong, don't give up, expect. Expectation is the outcome that personal desire creates. Expect to win and you can. The expectation of success is not daunted by the history or appearance of an external opposition. Personal expectation of victory sees an inner picture overcoming the outer scenario. Realistic expectations will, in light of the challenge, encourage, energize, and elevate you to uncommon action to bring about the desired extraordinary outcome. The strength of your expectations can unsettle the opposition. In their eyes, you are not supposed to win. In your eyes, you have already won. Come on, surprise the unsuspecting, expect the unexpected. So let's raise our expectations. A determined expectation of success fuels the boldness of action to bring success to pass. In order to win, you must expect to win. Nobody succeeds beyond his or her wildest expectation unless he or she begins with some wild expectation. There are no excuses to lose. Champions never expect to lose. If you show up to play with excuses to lose, then you might as well not show up at all. Do not allow yourself to think that your team does not play well against a particular team, nor that conditions are not to your liking as reasons to lose. Championship teams do not have built-in excuses to lose. They expect to win and will settle for nothing less. So champions have elevated expectations and self-confidence. A championship team must have the belief that they are ready, willing, and able to win the big one. If you have doubts about your overall ability level, then the team will fall short of winning. You must expect to play well and be very competitive in every game. So let's make it personal. I refuse to accept anything but the best. I expect the best. I expect success, and success is what I will have. All I see is victory. Rest there.
All right. Thank you there, Gus. So principle 3, expect to win. Mertrice has a question for you.
Hey, Mr. Logie.
Hi.
In the eyes of my opponents, I'm not supposed to win. But in their eyes, they have already won. However,
in your eyes,
in my eyes, I've already won.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I have already won. However, victory is achieved on the field of play, not by your eyes. Can you explain this statement?
No, the eyes is just a metaphor. It is not. Don't take it literally that the eyes. But I can tell you what the eyes does at the end of the day. If you look me straight in the eyes, I'm telling me that you're confident. If you look down on the ground when you have an opposition, that opposition will feel that you're not as confident. So you have to assume confidence all the time. You look them in the eyes, you look the batter in the eyes, you look the bowler in the eyes at the end of the day. Remember, you got to expect, but the expectation is all because of your preparation. All that has to take place. Remember, we continuing on from where we were in the beginning, So you have to make sure all those things. You cannot expect to be victorious if you hadn't put in the work.
Right.
You can't expect to pass the exam if you don't do the homework.
Okay.
So
the same thing slide
happens.
that under your eyes.
Yeah. But you want to look them straight in the eyes. When you're speaking to people, they say, how confident are you if you don't look me in the eyes? Come on, man, look me in the eyes, So it is a metaphor, but it is pertinent to really and truly what you're going to do when you go out there. And I think we look at teams. Many teams, sometimes you go out there and you take them for granted. Let's put it this way. I might be a top team and I'm going to play against, a team that's not expected to win because they don't have the star players. They have not been used to winning. So sometimes my performances, I take it for granted and I don't perform the way I should and we become complacent. It happens. And that opposition came with a desire to beat us. We have seen West Indies being beaten by Kenya. You understand? Nobody in the wildest dream will expect Kenya, an associate team to beat the West Indies in a World Cup game. So it has happened, So at the end of the day, you just must go in expecting to win, no matter how much the odds are against you. All right.
All right. Thank you. The eyes have it.
The eyes have it. Yeah.
The eyes have it indeed. So expect to win. Hyacinth has a question for you.
Sorry, I'm not hearing.
You're muted.
Yes.
Yes. The statement is that in order to win, you must expect to win, as you just said. Well, I expect every week when I play my lottery to win, but I have not yet won. What am I doing wrong?
Well, that is out of my realm, to be quite honest. I be talking about the cricket, the sports. I would love to win it as well. I have dreams of winning it one day. But that's all it is. But it's funny thing about it, it's like, you say you have your dreams, but I don't take a chance. So I'm not gonna win, right? But I really cannot help you. I really cannot help you there. I really cannot help you there. The luck of the draw is what happens sometimes.
Well, I should have it in my mind that I'm definitely going to win.
Yes, but keep that belief. It's better than saying I'm not going to win. And you just, you got to keep that faith or that belief that you one day you're going to win. You're going to hold them. Okay, so you got to keep that belief.
This is the winning ticket. This is the game. I'm going to win it.
You got to keep believing no matter what. And don't give up, because that's what it is about the game. The next thing you decide, I'm not going to buy next week. And exactly that's when your luck. That's when your luck comes. So all I can tell you, if you're in it, keep going.
Do your best, right? Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, Hyacinth. Professor, question?
Yes, Professor Logie. I have always believed in the concept of conceive, believe, achieve. That was what drove us in over the last 20, 30, 40 years.
There you go.
Okay, conceive, believe, achieve. Okay, and my question is, since it is the adage, but do we have enough preparation to support the principle of conceive, believe, achieve. And applying it to cricket, whether or not we think that the players are adequately prepared. When we compare, for example, West Indies preparation program against an Australia preparation program, an English preparation program, or an India preparation program, how do you respond to this?
Well, I think you're right in that sense, because even recently I heard a young man by the name of Heath bemoaning his exclusion from the Leeward Islands team based on the fact that he has not been performing well. And he made the point that, look, you know, when I'm home, I have no way of preparing myself. I have to leave and go elsewhere in order to get the kind of preparation that I need, simply because in the Leeward Islands, they lack the facilities, they lack the what you call equipment, and sometimes these technical support that he would need to really get himself from point A to point B. And that has been an issue throughout the Caribbean. We've always had that issue. We have had an issue of lack of funding. We have an issue of lack of matches. We complain that we only play 6 first-class match per season when we need to play more than 12 or 13 to get us into the frame of mind to be able to perform consistently under pressure day in, day out. Many people alluded to the early days when most of our professional players played in England, and they felt because they were playing week in, week out against some of the best players in the world, it honed their skills and they became better and better. There are always going to be arguments for and against when it's team concept. Individuals do have a responsibility as well. Let's put it this way. We have a lot of professional players in the Caribbean. When I say professionals, people who have been paid to do the job over the years. And if individuals believe that their level of fitness is not where it's supposed to be, and many I can judge when I was coach of teams, many of the players will wait till they are selected to a West Indies team. That's when they decide to do their work in camp for 2 weeks or 3 weeks. Whereas prior to coming to camp, you should be, as a professional, on top of your game physically. So if you don't see the need to get yourself to a level of fitness, and that's the easiest part, fitness, to get into a camp situation, then it makes it very difficult when you get in there for 2 weeks to then have to do skill work, and then you do mental work, you do planning, it takes away. So many times you say our players are not as fit as the opposition, is not as mentally strong as the opposition. But I think it comes down to responsibility of the players themselves. Yes, the board has a responsibility to provide avenues in each territory. Players, when they get back to their territory, should be reporting to our SNC. They should be reporting to psychologists. They should be reporting to X to keep them going as before selected. But it comes back down to personal responsibility as well. I remember someone said Chanda Paul bought his own bowling machine. So maybe when he gets home, he can have someone feed that machine so he can practice. There's nothing stopping any other individual from investing in themselves so that they can be better equipped when given the opportunity. So I think at the end of the day, yes, I am saying that the West Indies Cricket Board, the National Association have to provide opportunities. They have to provide support. But it is, at the end of the day, an individual choice as well. Fitness levels in the Caribbean must be raised, and it just cannot be raised only when you come to a camp. It has to be ongoing. As a professional, it's 24/7. That's the commitment you made. It is not only when it's necessary, you know? So that's something that we have to look at as well.
You, Gus. Leon, question?
Yes, Gus, this is a question. You must expect to win, but you shouldn't be complacent.
Nope.
Case in point, West Indies versus India.
Mm-hmm.
Third finals in the World Cup. Set 180 odd. West Indies were bowled out. For, we thought perhaps that they'll do a Roberts Murray, as what happened in the prior when Roberts and Murray held on to win that important match and let us get into the finals in the second. It was second. So your comments.
Yeah, but again, it comes back to in that situation, and I think I alluded to a question earlier on about the odds, and odds are against you. And there's a perfect example whereby Pakistan should have won that game in all honesty, when you had Derek Murray and Andy Roberts in that last wicket partnership of some 70 or 80 odd runs in a World Cup semi-finals, you understand? But it tells you that the guys never gave up. So that, again, has mental capacity in there, it had mental strength in there, it had belief in there, because I'm certain the closer they got, their belief started to rise, as well as the opposition belief started to drop. And that's what momentum of the cricket is all about, you know. But there must have been preparation prior to that, and belief in themselves and in the team, that we can still win this no matter what situation we find ourselves. And it is something that players will have to really and truly sit down and understand and articulate and talk about in game situations, you know, and not be intimidated by sometimes the scenario, the situation that they find themselves in, because we see it happen all the time.
But West Indies have never reached the finals after that, Gus?
Well, yes, they did reach the final in 1983
yeah,
and lost.
Yes,
yes, lost
no, after the India, I mean.
Yes. It did. It was tough to reach finals afterwards. Yes, it was.
So we should never let it reach that point that we lose.
Yep. But that's what happens. You are in a contest and you're going to win and you're going to lose at the end of the day, in spite of, you know, all the resources that you may have. And I said before, that 1983 final, I don't think anybody expected us to lose that final. But there were some situations there, an injury to Clive at the time, and maybe some decision making that was not in keeping with what best practices. You know, but there's no excuse. That's what it happens. And maybe it was good for cricket, world cricket. India came and dominated. And, you know, right now they have IPL. So many of our players are benefiting from that. Who knows?
Blessing in disguise for India and one not so good for West Indies.
Professor, granted, you know, that there is an acceptance now that mind power, you know, needs to be brought into the West Indies platform, because we are what, 9 out of number 9 on the totem pole, and there has to be something extra that we have to do that is going to take us to number 1. Because based on what we are doing right now, we were number 10 and we became number 9. Now, do you think, therefore, that it should become mandatory that the type of discipline, mind power, principles that you are espousing right now, that we should make it mandatory that players have to sit through these sessions, just like, you know, you have a driving record and, you know, it's not too good, and, you know, you have to go and take a special course before you can get a cheap insurance.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not from the lack of trying to have sessions like these. I remember some years ago, I was coach of the West Indies team. We were in Jamaica playing against England, you know, and we had a psychologist flew down from America and to talk to the guys prior to that particular game and talk about the same mind power, visualization, and how you can focus your energies. And we were in a very nice air-conditioned room at the Pegasus Hotel. And the gentleman, an expert in his field, was guiding them through the players. He said, close your eyes. I want you to visualize yourself walking to the wicket. I want you to think about the crowd and the reaction of the crowd. You're going to face the English bowlers, and, you know, you are an opening bat and the new ball, and you're able to play it well, and all the different scenarios that he can come up with to get them to focus their energies. And in a matter of about 5 minutes, you heard people snoring. So At the end of the session, he had to wake people up and snap his fingers and people, and of course, at the end of the day, after the session, he told me good luck. So I can guarantee you that in our small way, which has been tried in many places, I will think that, you know, when you have camps, you have people coming in with expertise and will be able to talk to players about their own visualization. Now is about being mentally rehearsing yourself, going out there, doing the things that are supposed to be correct. But you know, let's put it this way. We do have individuals that not everybody's going to buy into something like that. Some people think that they okay. It's just like goal setting. You talk about setting goals for yourselves and reviewing it as you go along. Some players just don't like to set goals because they believe if they don't achieve it, they get despondent. Instead of saying, I'm going to be persist with it and I'm going to make sure it's a part of my routine, you know. So it is a difficult thing, really and truly, to get across the board people to buy into things like that. And then, of course, it's expensive because if you have to get a psychologist on board, it means you have to pay them. They are professionals in their own way. So that's another support staff that you would have to pay. I don't know, when you look at the teams today in the West Indies, you see a support staff that is just as big as the playing staff, right? So there's a lot of people that you have to pay to be around those guys. You have bowling coaches, you have assistant coaches, you have head coaches, you have all these different things, you know, strength and conditioning, physios. So you have so many things, doctors around. So yeah, but a psychologist is very important, you know, but I don't think in the Caribbean we're yet to see the importance of having a psychologist on board with our players 24/7. Let's put it this way.